tell me what pod grading is, Ms. McKenzie.
Okay, so pod grading is something that I started doing several years ago here at South, and really it's getting students involved in the assessment process. We actually pod grade for our essays that we write, the reading work samples that we do, and we do a form of pod grading for speeches as well. But really, it's just the day after an essay is due, students are assigned traits, and the essays get graded in class by students, so they get immediate feedback. Part of proficiency grading is students being involved in the assessment process, so it's not just the teacher saying, this is your score, it's students actually being involved in that process. And I truly, honestly believe that students become better writers by reading and assessing writing.
Okay, so you've kind of mentioned some advantages of it. Tell me more about what assignments you use it for, or why you like it.
Okay, so we pod grade every single quarter, every single essay. We've done our reading work sample, and we'll grade student speeches too. And the advantage is that students become experts on what's expected of them, and then they're helping out with the assessment. So, for example, quarter one is our narrative quarter. At the very beginning of the quarter, we calibrate, we read student samples, and we score them together as a class and talk about why we scored them the way that we did. Then we go through the writing process, students produce their narratives, and then at the end of the quarter, we do that again with their narratives. And so they're becoming experts on what's expected, and it's not just me saying, hey, this is how you did.
Does it take a while for the students to get good at it?
Okay, let me tell you, after the first session, my student scores are almost dead on with my scores. Almost exactly dead on with my scores.
That's cool.
And so after we pod grade and I grade the essay, we compare their results versus my results and talk about where we need to be more careful the next time we pod grade together. So.
Okay, anything else?
No.
All right, so the first thing that students do when they walk into the classroom on a pod grading session day is they pick up a warm-up and they do a quick self-assessment. They just check off how they think they did on their essay.
All right, so can I get everybody to focus right here? Jared? Okay, so this is, you guys have done a lot of calibrating so far this year. This is our third official pod grade session, so you guys should be rock stars. The reason why we do it, I truly, honestly believe that you guys become better writers by reading and assessing other people's writing. And actually, part of proficiency grading is all about you guys being involved in the assessment process, not just your teacher taking a stack of papers home and saying, this is what you did well, this is what you need to improve on, Carlos. Okay, but it's all about you guys being the experts and being involved in the assessment process. And so that's kind of what this whole pod grade session is all about. And you guys become better writers, and we learn as a class what we need to work on. So here's the deal. I'm going to divide you guys up into 6 even pods. Each pod will have an assigned trait. The people in that pod, you are the expert on that trait. You grade for just that trait. Does this ring a bell? Do you guys remember doing this? Okay. So how many people do we have? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 14, 15, 16, 17. So I'm going to pass out papers. The very first thing that you guys do, is read the rubric for your assigned traits, and then you talk about it in your group. Like, what the heck are we scoring for? What equals mastery versus advanced versus needs? Okay, so I'll come around and do that right now. So this pod is ideas and content. They are going to take a minute to read the rubric and then talk between the 4 of them. What is mastery versus advanced versus needs for ideas and content? This pod is organization, so same thing.
read the rubric all the way across, and then talk about it. Is sentence fluency. You guys are always sentence fluency. So pass them out, read the rubric all the way across. What is the difference between master, advanced, and meets?
Get it in our desks.
Do you monitor your desk? Yes. Okay, go for it. Conventions.
Is having 5 sources cited throughout the essay and 3 to 5 quotes passage in each body paragraph. And advanced would be quotes are presented and at least 2 quotes and passages per paragraph.
All right, organization. What are you guys looking for specifically in the essays?
We are looking for, so you did not run on sentences.
Convincing and concise thesis, intro and conclusion paragraphs.
Okay, so is there a hook? Is there a thesis? Is there transition, topic sentences, a conclusion that restates the thesis? People, what are you looking for specifically today?
No second person pronouns.
Okay.
And,
No slang.
yeah, and specific words.
So no slang, no
I
contractions.
don't, won't, and so.
No using yourself like I for
Yeah, it's formal, so no I think, I feel. Very good. What are you guys looking for specifically?
Well, we're looking for run-on sentences and sentence fragments, and also we're looking for varied words and complex structure.
Okay, yeah, and we said last essay we're getting really good at fixing run-ons and fragments, but we need to work on more complex sentence structures. Okay.
like there's no spelling errors that much, well hardly any at all. And each sentence starts with a capitalized letter, and when you read it out loud, everything's smoothly going on. Okay. And then Nathan would like to say something.
No, that's good. So spelling, capitalization.
Yeah,
Good.
like that comma, yeah.
Good. All right, this group is grading for MLA format and all that good stuff. So what are you specifically looking at?
We're making sure that it has the right header and the spacing and the double spacing, and it has the correct the order where the name goes. Yeah.
Parenthetical citation thingies?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we make sure that the works cited page is correct.
You guys are awesome. Good. All right. While we are scoring for each rotation, we are providing feedback. And remember that good feedback is specific. So for every essay, you have to write at least one, hey, awesome job comment and be specific about it. Okay? If you tell somebody good job, that doesn't really do anything for them. But if you say, hey, Haley, you did an excellent job in using direct quotations within your body paragraphs, that's specific.
Thanks.
Okay, the same goes for room to improve comments. Okay, you need to be specific as possible. So use the online stopwatch every day in class, and usually for our pod grade sessions, I do about 5 to 7 minute rotations depending on the essay and how many traits we're scoring. But for this session that you guys are watching, they were 5-minute rotations. All right, so you guys want to start wrapping up your comments for this session. Circle the score on the rubric. Okay, now do it fast. All right. All right, ready, go. Go do that. Step is we need to talk about what we saw we did well and what needs improvement. So I'm going to give you guys about 2 minutes in your pod. So Cody's going to be in charge of ideas and content. Sarah's going to be in charge of organization. So at the end of the pod grading session, a representative from each pod comes up to the front and we record our data, things that we did well, things that we need to improve. And I use this information to plan future mini lessons in terms of writing. And then we also revisit this list before we begin writing our next essay. So this information is very useful. At the very end of the pod grade session, students flip over their warm-up. They write down the score that their peers gave them. They list one strength from their essay, one room to improve area. As a class, they write down one room to improve area. They write down when our essay revisions are due. And just a couple things I wanted to point out is that the checks on this sheet are from Angelina's peers, and they're actually dead on with how she scored her essay herself. And the green check marks, the green highlighter that you see, that's actually my score. And my score is pretty dead on except for ideas and content. And as I was scoring students' essays, my score tended to be slightly lower than student scores in ideas and content because I want students to beef up their direct quotation and paraphrasing. They're just not quite as far along as they think they are. All right, so I thought I would show you what happens to these essays after the pod grade session. Like, what do I do with them? So the next step, I call it the skim and score. And literally what I'm doing is just skimming through students' essays. And I've been grading essays for 9 years, so I can do this. And I just give them a score on top of the score that students gave during the pod grade session. And then I am putting that information onto my grade sheet so I can get it immediately into the grade book. That is like my sole purpose in life with this step, is to give students, parents, our PAWS advisory teachers immediate feedback on how the student is doing. Another thing that I'm doing during this session is, during this step, is identifying students that need a reteach. This essay was our info research essay, and quite a few students didn't quite get how to embed the parenthetical citations, so I'm going to reteach them next time we're in the lab. I'm also checking my scores compared to student scores to see if there's anywhere that we need to talk about adjusting. And then I'm also just looking at the quality of feedback that students are giving, and I'll actually use my iPad or my iPhone and take pictures of examples of really great feedback. Teaching students how to be good peer reviewers is a year-long process, and I've found that what works the best is actually showing them good examples of feedback so they can mimic that during the pod grade session. All right, so we've pod graded. I did my skim and score step. I've gotten grades into the grade book, and now I actually go through and take time to give feedback to students. And our school purchased turnitin.com this year, and I'm so thankful for it. I think it's the best way to give feedback to a student on an essay. I really love the drag and drop comments, and they're just super easy to use. And I also love the voice comments. I give a good bulk of my feedback through the voice comments, and students tell me that it's their favorite.